G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So last week I did do my underrated All Australian team so far in 2023, and I think it is now the right time to do my proper mid-season All Australian side so far in 2023. Still can't believe how quickly this season has passed us. It is now up to round 13, so it is probably the right time to now release this video. And there's just been some really good impressive players that have broken out, players that are still showing their class. And yeah, it's a hard team to do, always mid-season All Australian teams, or just All Australian teams in general. So yeah, there are going to be players that are going to be stitched up to leave out, but it is what it is. I can only fit in 22, but yeah, I've given it a real red hot crack. Now this is my prediction, by the way. It's not predicting what I think it will be, because if that's the case, there'll be no wingers. So I do want to try and balance out the team the best with the position they've actually played in, and also trying to marry in the actual talent of the player as well. So yeah, trying to fit in that balance. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That'd be much appreciated. And let's get into it. So usually I do each play one by one, but I just think to improve the video efficiency, I'll just name line by line. So we'll kick it off with the back three. And in the positions, I do have Callum Wilkie from St Kilda, Darcy Moore from Collingwood, and James Sicily from the Hawthorn Footy Club. Three players that have been superb so far this year. The first few weeks, obviously, Callum Wilkie was easily the best rated key back in the competition. He's just been so good this year, really good in the air. He's a smart defender, he reads the drop zone very well, and he's a strong one-on-one player. Maybe the last few weeks he's dropped off a little bit, given St Kilda have struggled with form the past few weeks, but still individually, he's a highly rated player, and he's been really good. Darcy Moore, by far the best key back so far this year. He's just been insane in the air. How he plays, he leaves his man quite a bit to influence the contest and take a really good intercept mark, and he's one of the best by foot key defenders in the competition as well. But he's just been so strong one-on-one, leaves the man to go to the contest superbly well as well. Easy spot at fullback. And then James Sicily, now I feel like he's been a little bit on and off so far this year, but he still is ranked the number one key back in the competition for marks, and he's now moved into that sort of Tom Stewart role the past few weeks, where he's taken around the third best forward, and he's just been bossing it. We saw against West Coast, saw against St Kilda, probably his career best games almost from what he has produced. So I feel like he can continue that, and yeah, I still don't get how he didn't make the All Australian last year. So yeah, kicking off with some really elite key defenders that are versatile players that can play on smalls too. Now for the half-back line, in the positions we have Nick Daicos from the Pies, Charlie Ballard from the Gold Coast Suns, and then we do have, of course, Jack Sinclair from St Kilda. Three players that have been really good so far this year. Nick Daicos, not much has to be said. Elite. He's going to be a genuine generational superstar. We've already seen it so far this year. Very good chance of the Brownlow. Smart player, work ethic insane. Foot skills are elite. He's just elite in almost every single category. Pushing a little bit more into the midfield, of course, but still plays enough halfback to be in a halfback spot. And then Charlie Ballard. Now, people can make the case by saying maybe it's a bridge too far for him to be an All-Australian, but remember, this is my team, and I want him in because he is a superstar. He is the number one ranked player in the comp for intercept marks. Such, a brilliant player in the intercept game. A very good play in the air and overhead, and he does it so casually as well, similar to Harris Andrews. He just has that sort of cool, calm and composed vibe when he is out there playing, and him and Collins are really building together a really strong key defensive duo. But yeah, just given his intercept abilities, for me, he has to be in the team. And then yeah, Jack Sinclair at halfback, still think he is, compared from last year, putting together a really strong season, ranked high up there with disposals for general defenders, and of course meters gained. Moved in a little bit into the midfield a past few games under Ross Lyon, but his run and gun and his composure as well. He's just always in the right spots to exit out of defence. Highly ranked as well with rebounds too. For me, he's a shoo-in to be in the All-Australian side, Jack Sinclair as well. Move on now to the centre line, and this is where the controversy begins with the wing plays, because it's like, who are you putting in? You're actually just putting in inside midfielders, but I do want to sort of balance it with players that have played in the position, but I do want to put in players that deserve to be in the team as well. So, I can't just put in two just genuine wingers because it just doesn't feel right, but I do want to balance it a little bit. So the first one we do have is a genuine winger by the name of Josh Daicos. Now, a lot of people probably say Nick Martin's been better. I understand that. I really rate him, but I just feel like reputation-wise is always an important thing when being selected for the All Australian. So I don't know if Nick Martin's going to be up there, but for sure he's going to be in a lot of teams because he's been awesome. But Josh Dacos himself, he's just improving his accumulation year by year. You know, his work ethic is brilliant, but he shows his class. He's a goal-kicking winger as well, pushes up the ground, kicks some really nice goals, and he's just averaging a lot of disposals so far this year. You know, just a classy player. He shows his flair. Really good player to watch. He's a hell of a talented player. Still think he is underrated. Josh Dacos, really good player. Deserves to be in this team on the wing. And now for the centreman, I do have, of course, 𝐼𝐻𝐿 𝐕𝗏 𝗠𝗏, the superstar player he is. He's just really elevated his game, sort of to his 2021 numbers. Was a bit of a drop-off last year, but he's back in Brownlow contention, possibly, maybe just the favourite in my opinion. But look, he shows his class. He can go forward, he can kick goals, and just that left foot. I think he's one of the best kicks out of the centre clearances in the competition. His kicking on the run is definitely up there as well. Yeah, just a brilliant player. 𝐕𝗏 deserves to be in this team 100% in the centreman role. And then for the other winger, I do have Jordan Dawson. Now, people probably argue, saying he's not a winger. I feel like throughout the little stages of games and early in the season, he was playing a little bit on the wing. So because of that, I'm being a little bit lenient. I will put him on the wing spot because he is naturally an outside player anyway. But he has moved into the midfield this year. As soon as he's done that, looks like a superstar. He's just such a great kick of the footy. He's composed in there as well. Yeah, you know, just his foot skills are elite. Decision making is up there with the elite category. He's only averaging 27.3 disposals, which still is very good. It's not high numbers, but just every possession is impactful. You know, just a talented player, Jordan Dawson. And then for the followers, I do have as the ruckman Tim English from the Bulldogs, followed by Clayton Oliver, and then of course Caleb Serong. Now, Tim English versus Shaun Dux is a big debate, but I just feel, given the modern ruckman these days that can play as a fourth midfielder, can accumulate the ball, can run around the ground, the work ethic around the ground is a big factor for elite ruckman these days. I think Tim English just nudges Darcy out of that, where Darcy's probably a little bit better in the air, but English's numbers has just been superb. His hit-outs isn't like top 3 or anything, but it's just his around the ground ability. I just think because of that, he definitely deserves a spot in this All Australian side. Averaging the most disposals out of any ruckman in the competition with 19.9, and as just stated, really good around the ground. Can take some good clunks too, and yeah, he's a bit of a goal kicker. He has kicked home a few goals with 6. And yeah, just so good around the ground, Tim English. Yeah, just that fourth midfielder, very valuable. And then for the midfielders, Clayton Oliver as the follower. Look, people probably, I guess, disagree with that, given he is injured at the moment. But it is one based off favouritism because it's a player that I rate so much. I thought he was the best player in the competition last year. But if you still look at the numbers he produces, they're still elite, and just the player is himself. I still think the first few weeks he was clearly the best player in the competition because he's just elevated his game so much more. He's now a bit of a goal-kicking midfielder. The work ethic has improved so much more on him. He just does everything. He wins the hard ball, very good in the contested game. He can now go forward and add a bit more of a attacking flair to his system. And let's not forget as well, he is averaging 33 disposals still, which is the second highest in the competition. So yeah, he's just a superstar, Clary. Honestly, it is a given. I do have to put him in. And then yeah, then the final follower, I do have Caleb Serong from the Dockers. This guy, wow, he's had a massive breakout year. You could always see that he has superstar potential, but now he's finally able to put up the proper top end elite numbers, averaging 30.3 disposals. He's just good inside and outside, and I just love the way he attacks the footy. You know, he's a short player. I think he's only around 180 odd centimeters. But yeah, the attack on the footy is superb, and he's just great overall. We're just a gun midfielder. And he's put up some great numbers so far this year, Serong. Now for the half forward line, I feel like I am cheating a little bit here, but I just feel like given their other positions on the half forward line, there isn't anyone that's really screaming or barking out or knocking down the door for me to put them in. So yeah, given that, I am putting in Zach Butters and Christian Petrarca in for the centre half forward, of course, Jeremy Cameron. Now, Butters and Petrarca, if you do watch them, they still do play down forward a little bit. So because of that, I have given them the edge because they do have the forward ability. But yeah, Butters is, and you know, I think after round 5, he's accumulated the most coaches' votes out of any player in the competition ever. I think it is with like 50 or 45 or something. He's been insane. I still don't get, and Ken Inkley says this, I still don't understand how this guy doesn't injure himself when he attacks the contest. He just runs in there like a steam train up against a brick wall. He is a tough player. He's a short player, but he plays bigger than what his size suggests, averaging some really good numbers. His ability to go forward and kick goals is the edge as well. And he takes the game on with every touch as well. You know, he loves to just try and sidestep an opponent. His kicks inside 50 are deadly as well. He's, yeah, the complete package. I think he's been better than 𝐼𝐻𝐼𝐸 so far this year. Bit debatable, but he's just been a joy to watch. Love watching him play. And then for centre half forward, of course, Jeremy Cameron. Not really much has to be said about him. We know him. I feel like a few games so far for Geelong this year has been able to carry him on his back, really. You know, his goals have been superb. He can work up the ground so well, and he pushes down forward extremely well as well, and he's just got a great kick for goal. I think he's one of the best set shots in the competition. And then, yeah, Petrarca on the other half forward line, again, cheating a little bit, but he does float forward occasionally, and he's still putting together some really good numbers, ranked highly with score involvements. He always is, Petrarca. His just impact on the game is better than probably most midfielders in the competition. And continuing from that, he is averaging the highest amount of score involvements as a midfielder. So yeah, not much else has to be said. His impact on the scoreboard is superb. Petrarca, definitely a player I have to put in my team. Now for my full forward line, let's get in some stay-at-home forwards, shall we? I'm going to be selecting Charlie Cameron from the Brizzy Lions, Charlie Curnow from Carlton, and of course Toby Green from the Giants. Charlie Cameron, he's been unlucky the past few years. He's been quite unfortunate not to get an All Australian blazer, but now I think this year he definitely does deserve one. He's kicked the most goals out of any medium forward in the competition with 32, and we just all know what a superstar he is. He can light up a game just with his quick evasion skills. Deadly, probably one of the most deadly plays inside forward 50. Then we move on to full forward with Charlie Curnow. He's tying the Coleman at the moment at the time of recording this video with Jeremy Cameron with 38. So I feel like just, you know, given that, you're fair enough to put both in. But just Curnow himself, I think when he is working high at the ground, he is, I still think he has traits to be just as good as Jeremy Cameron, because his field kicking is superb. His work rate high at the ground is really good, but we all know he's dominant in the air. He is only, I think, 194 centimeters, so he's not like the top end height for a key forward, but he's such an athletic player overhead, and he is a superstar, Charlie Curnow. In a struggling Carlton side so far this year, but for me, he still deserves to be in this team 100% in the full forward position. And then, of course, we do have to have Toby Green in the final forward pocket position. Was a little bit inconsistent last year, but he's now hit his career best form in 2023, booting home a heck of a lot of goals. He's just been a game changer for the Giants. He's won them games as well, which I feel like not many other forwards have done. He's been a genuine game changer in a few games, but, you know, when he's up and about, when he kicks goals, he's just a superstar, and he accumulates the ball really well, nicely. We all know Green. Just a champion player he is, and definitely deserves to be in this team. Now we move on to the bench. So yeah, as stated, it is hard to fit in 22 players here. So these are sort of just like the players, the leftover players that probably still deserve to be fielded. But yeah, these are just 4 players that have caught my eye. The first one being Jordan 𝐼𝐻𝐼𝐸. Now this guy's really shown that this guy can be an All Australian finally. He's 27 years of age. He hasn't been able to show it. Shame he was suspended, but I feel like he can be a massive impact come finals time for the Pies. At the very least, I do feel, but he's just so good in the centre clearances now. As that full midfield role, he's been able to dominate, thanks to Tom Mitchell and Taylor Adams, of course, and Pendlebury, but just his impact on games. He's a goal-kicking midfielder. He's kicked 10 goals so far this year, so that's ranked elite in terms of midfielders. He's similar to Petrarca. His score involvements, his ability to change a game is solid, and he is ranked high up there with the coaches' votes. He's in the top 5, so for me alone, he deserves to be in this team to 𝐼𝐻𝐼𝐸. Then for the next bench spot, we do have Tom Hawkins from the Geelong Cats. He had a slow start to the year, so I'm feeling like this guy has no chance for All Australian this year, but he's been able now to pick up his form, because he is 3rd at the moment for goals with 32, and he's ranked the top player in the competition for goal assists, average-wise, that is. So for me alone, that just definitely deserves for me to put him in the All-Australian squad. Well, we all know Tom Hawkins. He's a very unselfish player. He's a classy kick for goal as well, especially with his set shots. And his marking on lead is probably, out of all the key forwards, possibly one of the best in the competition. So yeah, just with the stats he has given, I feel like he deserves to be in the team, because he still is putting up elite numbers for his old age. For the next interchange spot, I do have 𝐷𝐿ockie 𝐼𝐗 from the Brisbane Lions. Looking at his stats compared from last year, he probably has dropped off a little bit, but still his impact is so important for the Brisbane Lions. And look, probably with Josh Dunkley, it's taken a bit of his influence away from the game, but he's still the #1 ranked centre clearance player in the competition. He's just so clean, such a smart player. His midfield craft is elite. He's just so smart in those centre clearances, and he still gets tagged almost every single game because he's still a damaging player and he still puts up elite numbers for the Brizzy Lions, averaging 27.9 disposals a game and 4.1 centre clearances a game and 8.4 clearances a game. So he still has some really good stats, Neil, and he's entering his 30s, but still is such an influential player for the Brizzy Lions. And for the final play in this team, there's just so many unfortunate players that have missed out on this team. It is, again, really hard. Connor Rozee, Errol Goulden, Darcy Parish, perhaps Tim Taranto, maybe. But I'm going to go for Zach Merrett. This is a bit of a personal selection, but gee, this guy is just extremely underrated. And for me, it's the past few weeks, his form's been insane. And for me, that has given me the edge to put him in this team. He was best on ground against the Tigers, best on ground against North Melbourne. He is, just so underrated. He's a classy player. And kicking-wise, he probably is one of the more efficient midfielders in the competition. And especially when going inside 50, I think he's a very unselfish player. He can cut the angles with his kicks and just that left boot. He's a really entertaining player to watch. Smart in the clearances, averaging 29.4 disposals a game. So still is, around the top 6 mark for midfielders. But yeah, I just think his impact as of late has been superb. And he's had a few best on ground performances. And from that said, that gives me the edge to put in Zach Merrett in the final position in my mid-season All-Australian side. So everyone, there is my mid-season All-Australian team so far for the 2023 AFL season. Very, very difficult to do. There are so many plays that I've missed out on. Of course, Tom Green, I feel like deserves to be in there. Noah Anderson, Matt Rowell, Tim Taranto, a few gun midfielders in there. Even a few key forwards as well, like Joe Danaher, even like Dan Houston from Port Adelaide. I feel like a few running general defenders have been unlucky not to be in this team. But you can only fit in 22 at the end of the day, so it's the best I could have done, and yeah, had a deep, long think with this team as well. But yeah, pretty content, and it always is obviously opinion-based, so I'd love to hear your fellas' opinions down in the comments below, so feel free to let me know what you think of my team, and feel free to let me know what your team would be, and who would you change out, maybe an in and out system. So everyone, that is the end of today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'll be much appreciated, and until next time, I'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.